Okay, we're outside and we're going to give this a shot. We're set up using a 4-foot foldable table, which is easy to transport. It'd be nice to have a 3-legged stool so that it's good on uneven ground. We have the equipment that we need. We have the laptop. This is going to serve us for both the video, the still photography, and the waypoints. So we've got the 900 megahertz data transmission equipment here. That's a transceiver on the back. We have the 5.8 gig here, and we've got our video program and our waypoint program ground control station all hooked up and ready to go. We've got our transmitter for the external pilot for doing our pre-flight checks, taking off, landing, things like that manually. Got a couple of batteries. Got just one wrench, just a 2mm wrench. That's all we need. Batteries have Velcro on them. We already know where the CG is when we have 2 batteries. These batteries then will offset the weight of the camera system that we have. So we'll attach the 2 batteries using the Velcro here, and then the straps going around. Okay, now that the batteries are installed, we want to double check that the CG is correct. The CG can't be off by more than a couple of millimeters either way, otherwise when it takes off it's going to list to one side, and in certain wind conditions it's going to try to overcompensate and you'll get into some oscillation. So simply put your fingers under the center of each of the booms and pick up. And as long as it's pretty good, the IMU is pointing forward. In this design, of course, the IMU is always pointed forward once you have it installed correctly the first time. It has to be upright and pointed forward, which it is. Alright, now we're going to install the GPS compass. Now because there's a compass in it, it must be pointing forward. So we have a notch on here, so it's notched so it can only actually fit in one way. So that will make sure that it's pointing forward. Of course it says pointing forward with arrows on it. So we're going to push this down into place. Loosen the screw first. Okay, and we just want to verify that the 900 megahertz antenna and this is the 5.8 gigahertz antenna, and then we have the 2 antennas that are 2.4 gigahertz. These are for the external pilot for the RC transmitter. Those are pointing down. Everything needs to be pointing down so that they have the best signal. Okay, the next thing on the list is to make sure that it's level. So you take a bubble level of some sort. This one has a cross, and we put the bubble level on it and we move it around on the table. Since the table is not perfectly straight, we can move it around on this table until we get it fairly level. Doesn't have to be perfectly level, but fairly level. Okay, continuing on now. The next thing we're going to do is make sure the quadcopter is not on, and we're going to now boot up the transmitter. Before we boot up the transmitter, we want to make sure that all the switches are in the correct position. So the rate switch typically is in the center. The zoom switch for the camera, if it has zoom, should be in the center. The mode switch, which is in manual, attitude, or GPS, that should be in manual. And then the tilt for the camera should be in the up position. Throttle needs to be down, and this stick needs to be centered. Once we have that, we can engage the power. It's going to ask us to confirm if we want to transmit, and we're going to say yes. And then we're going to check the battery voltage. The battery voltage of the transmitter itself is at 100%, so we're good. We're going to check the model selection. The model selection says Hex 800, so that's correct. And then we're going to turn on the quadcopter. To turn it on, we basically plug in the flight batteries into the main artery. So, plug these in. This is a harness that will put these two in parallel. If you have 3 batteries, you use a harness that will take 3 batteries, put them in parallel, or 4 batteries, you'd have something that has 4 parallel connectors on it. You heard 6 beeps, real quick beeps. That means 6S LiPo batteries have been detected. Okay, now you need to keep it stationary. This is going to have 3 red blips, which is already down to 1 now. As it gets GPS lock, it will go from 3 to 2 to 1. And so now, once that last red blip goes away, it has full GPS lock. Do not move the copter until about 30 seconds after that last blip goes away. And then you'll make sure that you've got good GPS. All right. Okay, we're going to take it off manually, and then we're going to go into the waypoint modes. I'm going to start it up. And we're going to go through our pre-flight checks. We're going to take off manually. Okay, now we're going to put it in GPS hold, so we have the single blink. And now we're going to go to the waypoints where we have it set at 10 meters, so it should stay in about the same position, just needs to increase in altitude to 10 meters. Okay, so it's up at 10 meters, and it's once it finds its position, it's going to stay there for about 10 seconds. And then it's going to move on to the next waypoint, which is just a few meters to the northeast. So it's found its position. It's about 10 meters in height. And so now it's going to turn, and it's trying to fight a pretty hard wind, and it's coming over the house, so it's a lot of buffeting. It's rotating, and it's then it's going to move forward. And go to the next waypoint. As you can see, we're getting some white flashes. White flashes means that it's experiencing some turbulence and it's having trouble holding an attitude. Now it's turning and getting prepared to go to the next waypoint. As you can see, it kicked forward a little bit, and now it's proceeding to the next waypoint. Found the next waypoint, and it's hanging out there. And that's about the end of the mission as we have it. So to take it back over into manual mode to land it, I'm going to flip the switch off of GPS and then back on to GPS, and then I'm going to manually take it back in and land it. So here we go now. So I've done that, so now it's under manual control. I'll rotate it a little bit to the left. I'm going to come back a little bit. Go down on throttle slightly. And it'll slowly come down. As soon as it touches the ground, I'm going to get off the throttle. And there we had a successful mission.